to my channel. So today we're going to talk about Wade Wilson, the evil within. So I had a few questions and I went online and I was just searching for, some articles or some conversation about Wade Wilson that could probably answer my questions that I had about him. And I found a few. Okay, I found a few things. So let's talk about it. Now we know that Wade Wilson was born May 20th, 1994. His parents were very young when they had him. They were babies, babies having babies. His biological mother struggled with mental health illness and addiction. Now, her parents went to church with the Wilson family, who had 2 daughters of their own. They adopted Wade sometime after birth, right? Now, by his adoptive family's account, he was well adjusted and an active member of the family as a child. At age 13, something changed. Now, his family said he changed completely. He became paranoid, reclusive, and by Wade's own admission, became a heavy drug user. On one occasion, he was paranoid as he felt people were watching his family and wanted the blinds closed. Now, when people act like that, from where I'm from, we call that crackhead mentality. Now, he could have been on meth, at that time, or whatever type of drug he was that was making him act that way. But from where I'm from, when people start acting like that, they're either on meth or they're a crackhead. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not sure what he was using, but, he was paranoid. On another occasion, he was paranoid that there was an entity in the garage. Now, his father did not understand there to be anything in the garage. The police were called and noted the same thing. They didn't see any entity in the garage. At age 13, he was subject to the Baker's Act because his adoptive dad found drugs. He was released the next day. Throughout his schooling, he received good to okay grades, A's, B's, and C's, and he was great at sports. Now, as a child, he sustained multiple head injuries from playing sports, some of these resulting in a concussion. He was suspended from school for selling drugs. Now, at the age of 18, and again at the age of 20, he sustained head injuries from car accidents where the car he was in collided with a tree. At least one of these led to a concussion. He had CT scans performed multiple times due to the various sports and car accidents. Now, the CT scans never showed any fracture or bleeding. MRIs were not performed because MRIs show more of a detailed information that's on the brain. It would show more detailed info on the brain. So he didn't have an MRI done at that time. He was in and out of prison as a young child. Well, not a child, a young adult. Starting 2010, he was charged for 20 different crimes, including assault and fraud. Now, while in prison awaiting trial for the murders, he tattooed a swastika on his head and on his face. When asked about this in the prison phone interview, he refused to address the topic. Now, Wade's biological father stated that at age 18, Wade reached out to him to connect, and they spoke over the phone usually, and that Wade would constantly reach out when he needed something, more like money. Now, the prison records, mental health, noted many diagnoses, including depression, anxiety, schizoaffective disorder. That's a combination of bipolar and schizophrenia, defiance disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. Wade self-reported depression and mania in prison. He reported to Dr. Mills that he was previously diagnosed with ADD, and to the police he reported bipolar. There was an additional incident in jail where Wade was jumped by 3 other inmates, leading to another head injury. Now, during the trial, the defense presented 2 expert witnesses, Dr. Hyman Einstein and Dr. Mark Mills. They conducted testing on Wade, in addition to reviewing prison mental health records and school records, CT scans, and speaking with his adoptive parents. Dr. Einstein concluded that Wade likely had significant frontal lobe impairment affecting executive functioning. The frontal lobe is responsible for impulse control, organization, problem solving, emotional regulation, and motor skills, and concluded there was impairment to the right side of the brain as well. Dr. Mills concluded that Wade suffered from psychotic disorder, however, couldn't be more specifically defined, as Wade was uncooperative in interviewing. The prosecution contested and said that the CT scans did not show fracture injury. Okay, again, MRI would have provided more information on the brain. They contended that he was not receiving any antipsychotic medication. Their view was that a mental health condition, psychosis, or brain injury cannot be used, and that his excessive and prolonged drug use can't be ruled out as responsible or contributing to behaviors, symptoms exhibited. Now, Wade and his cellmates stand accused of attempting to escape jail. And this happened, I think, from an incident in 2020. Through these court records, Wade was tied to the white supremacy prison gang Unforgiven. Now, I heard differently. I heard he was not tied to them. And that's why he got jumped on in prison. That's what I heard. That he is not part of that. You know, he is not part of it. And that they got on him about that. Wade stands accused of being involved in an attempt to traffic drugs into jail, stemming from an incident in 2023. Both Ziploc bags discovered outside the prison and connected to the case tested positive for methamphetamine. Now, while in jail, he wrote numerous letters to NBC2 for an interview. Now, during the video interview, he stated that he was being framed for the murders by the organized crime ring he was part of. He said his ring was responsible for human trafficking and drug trafficking. Authorities for the county said there was no evidence of any such organized crime ring. Now, while in jail, another inmate tried to hire Wade to orchestrate a murder hit on this inmate's ex. Wade reported this to the jail authorities. Wow. A former girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, has spoken out to the media. You know, she has her own TikTok, and she was just talking about the abuse that happened with her and Wade. You know, the things he used to do to her and stuff like that. They dated between, in 2018 and 2019. He wasn't abusive for the first 6 months. Sometime in 2019, things changed. You know, he tied her up and drove hours away to the Florida Keys. He assaulted her. She drove back and reported to the police, but the police failed to do anything about it. So we all know that story that she put out. She had a right to tell her story. She went through something with him, okay? She was allowed to tell her story. I don't understand why people were thinking she just want fame. No, she's telling you what happened between her and Wade and the stuff that he was doing. She also stated that in the beginning, he was not using drugs. However, he was towards the end of their relationship. At one point, she found a crack pipe at home. In the prison phone interview, he stated that he has children, and based on the video from his ex-girlfriend, he had at least one child, though others online said he has two. Now, I did hear that he had two, but one of the children wasn't his. I think the son is his and not the daughter. Now, he admitted, the killings in his original police interview to his biological father and to his ex-girlfriend, Mila. But then he recanted. Now, his biological father testified against him in a trial, which we know, and noted that Wade telling him about the killings. He was excited. He was wanting me to feel the same way he was feeling. He would have done it again. He is right where he belongs, in custody. And that's the God's honest truth. He is right where he belongs. So I'm so glad that his father, Stephen Tesaseka, turned him in. So in June of 2024, he was convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The jury recommended the death penalty. The judge will ultimately determine his sentence. It was supposed to be on July 23rd, but now it's on August 27th, 2024. Or he can get life in prison without parole. So it's either going to be the death penalty or life in prison without parole. Okay? So, and here's the thing. Seeing women lust after him and, oh my God, he is so fine and he is so handsome. Oh my God. What are you lusting after? Because I'm pretty sure if he was out here on these streets and he got a hold of you and did these god-awful things he did to other people, you wouldn't be singing the same tune. You'd be trying to get him arrested. What if he unalived one of your family members? Will you still be lusting after him? Like, to me, that's totally disgusting. To see women talking about, oh, he's so fine, and then money being raised for him. Oh, he's being framed. On TikTok, it's crazy over there. Those women are in love with him. And I don't understand why. It's insane to me. It's crazy. It's crazy. So basically what we learned what I learned, because I had questions about it, you guys probably already knew, that he had multiple, injuries to his head. But like they said, they didn't see anything on the CT scan. If they would have did an MRI, it probably would have gave more of a detail if anything was there. So I came across another article where a woman was talking about him, and I think she went to school with him. So let's talk about that. So the news article that I was reading said they made attempts to contact Steve and Candace Wilson, but never heard anything back. They also made multiple attempts for comment from Leon County schools, like his high school and stuff like that. When they called his high school, someone said, no comment, and hung up the phone. You got to understand something. When people are connected through someone like Wade, nobody wants to talk about it. I'm pretty sure Steve and Candace Wilson went through a lot with him, and they don't want to talk about it with the media. And that's their right. They have a right to not talk about it with the media. If they want to talk about it, they will. But I guess they're trying to get some type of normalcy back. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine living somewhere where
Reinventa tu look diario con este conjunto de camiseta y shorts de tela, por tan solo $1.49.
where you're well known, everybody knows who you are, they know you raised Wade and stuff like that, and they see him on TV on trial for murder. What? People are gonna look at them like, like, what the heck? Or they're gonna ask questions, or they're gonna give them looks. So the news articles spoke to more than 3 of Wilson's former classmates to gather some information. Now, the classmates wanted to remain anonymous for their privacy and safety, as they should. A woman who claimed she attended middle school and high school with Wade Wilson wanted to remain anonymous. She had the same group of friends as Wade Wilson in middle school. They sat together for lunch. Nobody would eat. They would just pass drugs around, which was so weird to me, she said, claiming she dated one of Wilson's close friends who wasn't a very good friend either. Oh, he wasn't a good kid. I'm sorry. He wasn't a good kid either. And, well, shit, you hanging around with Wade Wilson. What do you think? Now, this was in junior high school. Now, Wade Wilson will always wear this black hoodie with his hood over his head, and her former boyfriend did the same thing. She remembered of high school, they always looked so eerie together, just like at 6:30 in the morning, the sun hasn't come up yet, you just see them on the side of a building, and I'm like, oh wait, those are my friends. The woman claims that Wade was the first person she ever smoked marijuana with when she was 14 years old. We would smoke in the woods before school started, and that was almost a daily thing after the first time. Sometimes it would be just me and Wade, and sometimes her boyfriend would be there. But every time I was alone with Wade, he never gave me any vibes that I was unsafe. She said he would sometimes hang around her and her boyfriend, but most of the time he was either with the girl he was dating or he was flirting with other girls. She claims that Wade Wilson did not respect authority whatsoever, and he was expelled from high school because he was smoking weed in the bathroom and caught the toilet paper roll on fire. My goodness. So a second woman, said that she and Wade had a brief relationship in high school, in 2012, it formed from running in the same group of friends. So I guess, like when you hang around people and stuff like that, when you hang around the same people, you get to be familiar with them, and I guess they started dating. She claimed he wasn't really respectable to her and cheated on her during that time. Now, in one alleged high school incident, the woman recalls returning to her desk to find money had been stolen from her book bag, which she believed to be Wilson's doing. The woman who said this happened before she and Wilson dated says she told the teacher, and then the principal and another staff member came into the classroom demanding answers. They stopped the class from leaving even after the bell, and no one would say they did it. No one fessed up. They're like, whoever took the money out of her bag, fess up right now so everyone could just leave and go to the next class. Or we're going to just sit here all day. But no one would say anything. Now, eventually, she said, too much time went by and the class was dismissed without a confession. Believing Wilson was still the culprit, she said she cussed him out and confronted him in front of a crowd of classmates. It pissed me off because he was trying to make a mockery out of it or laugh about it or pick on me and make fun about it. Now, the woman claims that Wade Wilson contacted her from jail as recently as March or May, but she no longer takes his call after he allegedly made a hurtful remark about something she did not want to be disclosed. Now, without hesitation, a male high school classmate of Wilson's described him as troubled. People that were on track for college, I'll say, weren't his acquaintances. And that's like talking about the people he surrounded himself with. The kids that got into trouble, he would hang out with them mostly. And I can see that. I definitely could see that. The man added that Wilson always pushed the boundaries as far as crazy things, he would do, including trespassing and breaking into cars and all that stuff after high school. Just like, why would you do that? Even if he didn't, get anything monetarily out of it, it was just something he liked to do. So, every classmate had nothing but good things to say about his adoptive parents, Steve and Candace. Now, one of his classmates described the Wilsons' parents as super friendly, church-going, who meant well and wanted better for him. And Steve said the same thing. Wade's biological father, he said, those people were really good to him. They are really good people. He had the world given to him. He had a nice house in the suburbs with his parents. They had greyhounds and expensive vehicles, but they were not just all about their material stuff. Their mindset was in the right place too. But for some reason on that course, something fell off. Something didn't make sense, like it wasn't appreciated or was taken for granted, she claimed. Another classmate claimed that Wade once stole his parents' car and disappeared for 3 days. I remember everybody at school talking about it. Like, what was he thinking? His parents were loving from what I've heard. I've never met his parents, but I've always thought about them and felt bad for them because I know they tried everything they could do. That's what I remember hearing back then. I don't hear anything about them now, but I remember them trying really hard to keep him under control, and nothing they did worked. So we know about Kelly Matthews, and she spoke up about how Wade would do all types of stuff to her. He busted her lip, he bit her face. He was just, it just seems like as time went on, Wade became crazier and crazier and crazier, just doing stuff. But she also said she thinks the women would still be alive if the police would have done their job and locked him up. So, Wade Wilson had some trouble behind bars. On September 30th, 2020, Wade Wilson and his cellmate Joseph Katz attempted to break out of Lee County Jail. Officials searched their 10-by-10 cell and found that the window's metal frame had been removed and several cracks in the thick security glass. A metal stool that had previously been bolted to the concrete floor had also been removed. Detectives determined Wilson was the mastermind and charged him with attempted escape and criminal mischief. Wilson, along with 5 other people, were also arrested on drug-related charges on April 20th, 2023. A K-9 found 2 bags of drugs which tested positive for methamphetamine and contained loose cigarettes, suspected narcotics, lighters, and pills outside in the jail's receiving area. Officials reviewed recorded inmate phone calls and learned that Wilson spoke to someone named Bonnie Wiggins about the narcotics. Police then conducted an undercover investigation where they watched Wiggins and 3 more suspects outside the jail. So even in jail, he couldn't get himself together. Still want to play around with drugs. Still acting a fool while he's in jail. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like the age 13 is when things really got crazy for him, and he just started doing all types of things. Now, I know in middle school, you have some type of influence, peer pressure and stuff like that. But he came from a good family. The Wilsons took him in, and I'm pretty sure he had the best of the best. He wasn't running around like a bum or anything like that. Not from the pictures I saw. But where did this evilness come from? Where did it come from? Did these brain injuries, or I'm going to say these head injuries, could that be the cause? But according to the CT scan, they don't see any damage. So I guess now, since he went in for another CT scan and MRI, hopefully we'll know if there's really some damage there. But I doubt it. I don't think they're going to show anything. I don't think it's going to show anything. But we'll find out on the 27th, because that's when the results are going to be in. But you come from a good family. Your biological family, they did the right thing. They gave him to a loving family, right? And even Steve said, he's not perfect. He has some stuff going on with him. They were young. They were teenagers. They were babies having babies. And they did the right thing by letting the Wilson family adopt him. And that family took him in. They loved on him. They showed him everything. They treated him and gave him the world. But yet, that wasn't good enough for Wade. He started getting into drugs and doing all types of stuff. I'm not surprised that they didn't return any comment to the media. They don't want to talk about that stuff. They're probably hurt that he's like this. But where did it come from? Now, his biological mother, they said she had mental health issues and she struggled with addiction. So maybe something came from her. You get what I'm saying? Oh, man. I don't know. What do you guys think? This is I've always wanted to know, when somebody is out there, unaliving people, do they get a kick out of it? You know what I'm saying? Not just Wade, anybody. I've read so many crime books and stuff about people who unalive other people, and some people say they get a rush. They get this feeling. And that's sick to me. That is so sick. But what is it about people that unalive people that attracts women, certain women? I mean, Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundy, women were like going after them, like, oh my God, he's so sexy. He's this and he's that, he's handsome. Ted Bundy was getting love letters. These people get love letters while they're in jail. They get love letters. What is it about these men that they love? I will never understand. To me, it's sick. But anyway, I just want to do this video, just to talk about the evil within Wade Wilson. How did it start? Where did it come from? But the question I want to ask, do you think these head injuries really, it has something to do with his behavior? Do you think the head injuries cause his behavior? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys later.